Welcome back, everyone. We are in Lexington, Kentucky today, and we're at the Lexington Horse Park. So we are broadcasting live from here and excited because today is a new adventure. Today we're certainly learning about equine history, and we'll be going on a tour later today, so we're excited about it. But what we're going to do now is we're going to be connecting back to my hometown in Orlando and talking with Victoria McCrae, who is leading the effort in connecting Democrats across the I-4 corridor with a program called Door2Door I4. This is a new way of approaching politics and different than we've done in the Democratic Party in the past. Why is it different? It's different because they are looking across politicians, they are looking across individuals. We're trying to help get more and more people involved, not because everybody wants to be a firecracker, but because everybody wants to help our country and help our community. And as they always say, all politics is local, and certainly in my hometown, it couldn't be truer. We are beginning to have a lot of national attention and to be looked at as one of the leaders in the nation because we have such a purple district. We have a mix of red and blue and white, and really, I mean, that's the fabric of our country, so I'm thrilled to be part of a community that is so mixed. We are just waiting for our guests to come online. We just finished our sound check and we'll be pressing forward with questions today. And mostly we're going to focus on how it is they came up with this idea, how it is that they are executing it, connecting different candidates, and how we can help better organize. You know, if you've never had to do door-to-door, well, if you've never had to do what they call canvassing, you know, if you're not somebody who's heavily involved in politics, what they do is they actually go door to door, knocking on doors, talking to people, trying to get messages out, and it's in a word, it's exhausting. There really is no way to dress it up. So to be able to have groups that are organizing together and not just sharing information about one candidate, but about multiple candidates is really a tremendous benefit. So we are excited to talk to those. Yes, and we will go ahead and bring her in. All right, Victoria, if you can see me, go ahead and invite in. I've turned on the capability. Excellent. There's a process to getting everyone online and able to connect. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
We are so excited to be connecting home.
I know, I'm excited to be here as your connection.
Yes. Well, today I am officially in state number 18. So we have been through so many, and it's been very interesting. Something you might find very well. I don't know if it's a great thing or a concerning thing, but nonetheless, everyone wants to hear about Orlando. Everyone wants to know what are we doing in the I-4 corridor. And so I just finished a bit of an intro saying why I'm so excited about your organization and the ideas that you guys have, because this isn't just about a single candidate. This is about recognizing the power of so many people working together. So I want to turn it over to you. I've already done a brief intro of you and of the organization, but I'd like you to give us a little more background. What was it that really inspired you to get involved in this, and a little bit about the vision that you all have?
Thank you for that, JJ. Basically, door to door is a very innovative and different way of, well, a different approach to canvassing. It's not the traditional just going, knocking on doors, leaving literature, moving on to the next one. We want to engage a lot of constituents and residents on exactly what is going on, the changes that are proposed to be made in politics altogether, because everyone is tired of seeing the same thing happening over and over again. And it's just time for a change all over the nation. So we feel like, especially in Orlando and even the I-4 corridor, that's a great place to start it out with. And it's very important, I would say, in politics altogether, because even like candidates that come through, they try to make sure that they do touch at least some part of the I-4 corridor, and it's very critical. So we just want to be able to have a easy and just very important, informative way for people to actually find out what's going on, to get people more involved, because a lot of people feel like their voice isn't being heard in politics. And that's why we want to come on to show people that it's important for you to vote, and really just giving them direction on how and when to vote and what to vote for, if they're open-minded, because a lot of people aren't. But I mean, we try to at least give them, that standpoint, that I mean, everyone has different views, but we can all come together and actually achieve one goal, which is to make a change for our country altogether.
Now, if you could give us a little explanation of, you and I both know what I-4 corridor is, but not everyone is aware. And so as the information you're sharing is going nationwide, help us understand that space, both its location, but also what's different about it.
Well, we go from, as far as Volusia County, we go to Seminole, we go to Orange County, we have Polk County as well. And it's a compromise. I mean, it's comprised. I'm so sorry. It's comprised of 6 counties basically altogether. But each county is different, so it just really depends on basically how basically. Well, it's a big chunk of Florida. Let me put it that way. But
Yeah.
it's so many different standpoints when it comes to Florida altogether, because it is a red state at the same time. But I mean, it's very large sections of blue in there as well. We really, Florida, or just I-4 corridor, it's unique because it's so much diversity in here, and
Yes.
people are moving in and out, especially from everywhere. So it's very influential, especially for elections.
Yes, because Florida has so many electoral votes. And for those who don't know the counties, Tampa on one side of the state, and then going over to Daytona Beach on the other side of the state. So you're really talking the middle section. And the reason we refer to it as I-4 is because that's literally Interstate 4, which is the road that
That
connects
goes
all
along
of it.
all of those counties.
Yeah, yeah. And so we really are looking at that space. And as you said, we have so many people coming from so many different states that it ends up being a place where you can collect data in a way you couldn't somewhere else. And it ends up being a place that represents a lot of what the nation is thinking.
Yes, definitely. Especially with just how the industry is over here, especially in Orlando. It's just drawing in so many people from everywhere. It's just, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing because, like you said, that we'll be able to get a lot of input on exactly how the country sees things just from this small section, because we have everyone from all over the country coming in from, if it's not Volusia County, it's all the way down to Osceola County. So that's why I'm just really excited about having this corridor as far as canvassing goes, because I mean, not even just us informing people, we get to hear input from everyone that's living in this area when it comes to change, and then hearing different stories of people coming from different areas and how politics is over there. Like, it's just giving us an insight on what change is needed and how to go about that. And that's just the beauty of door to door, because we work with candidates on we provide that input to them on what we're getting from the people that they're trying to represent or that they aim to represent, and that can help them have a more effective campaign and can get into office and use that for the positive change in their communities.
Yeah, and to put an exclamation point on that, basically what you're saying is you have access in a small region for a smaller amount of money than having to poll the entire country to get really rich data. That's
Exactly.
amazing. So if you,
Exactly.
and so if you were to summarize maybe 2 or 3, what are some of the trends that you're hearing from people that maybe aren't making the news right now that are unique?
Hmm. Well, it's a lot of things different, really, right now. Especially in Orange County, we have, not even Orange County, the city of Orlando alone is just already having a lot of concerns when it comes to economics, the development. Like I-4 just alone is already a pressure point for a lot of people actually living in this area just because of the development that's going on. A lot of people are just tired of seeing just so many things, changes happening, and they're just not aware of exactly what's going on. They feel like they don't have a voice on anything happening. It's just people are doing whatever they want and not really informing everyone on what's going on. So with that, along with just even housing, everyone is very, very concerned about that because we have a lot of new housing coming up, but it's not affordable. And a lot of people are frustrated with that because they're having to move out of their areas and having to move other places that they're not looking to move into just because they can't afford it. So it's just a lot of, I would say a lot of economic distress that's going on in the I-4 corridor, as well as just politics altogether. Because I mean, even with school districts and things like that, it's just, it's not really, it's not being effective for people that's actually in the areas. So, I mean, with that, we want to be able to give this back to campaigns so that way they know exactly what pressure points they need to address when it comes to having a platform. So that way they can address it and actually let people know that they're actually there for them and not just for whatever money or whatever, like, you know, whatever type of media that may come along with the positions.
Yeah, well, I think you touched on a really important point there about the economic distress, and then you followed right up with education. Perfect segue, right? I mean, why is it that we're having so much economic distress and concerns about being able to find housing? This is being repeated in cities around the country. I know California in particular is having some real challenges because
Oh, yeah.
anybody who has a support type job is oftentimes making fewer, lower wages. And so as we have this divide of the haves and the have-nots, which of course is separated by education as,
Exactly.
as the enabler of all of it, right? And you just connected them exactly. Then you start seeing this symptom of, wait a minute, I'm employed, I work hard, I have a job that presumably should be adding back to the community, and yet it's not enough. And I think there's a lot of assumption that um, people who are asking for support, either from the state government, local government, or federal government, are doing so because they don't want to work or they're trying to find a free ride. And what you just described is completely different than that. What are some of the stories you've been hearing from people?
A lot of people, I mean, when it comes to just the economics, you have people struggling when it comes to even making ends meet, that especially have kids at home and they're trying to make sure that they have clothes for school and then having to be able to put food on the table and just, I mean, even with getting government assistance is a really big struggle for them because they either are making too much because the barriers are just too low for, I mean, for them to actually say that they make the bare minimum. Their bare minimum isn't really the bare minimum to the state. So they're basically are just trying to make everything work the best way they can. And especially with housing being so expensive, it's like if you're by yourself, with single mothers with kids, it's very nearly impossible for them to even be able to survive in this type of, I mean, economy. Because I mean, Florida is expensive, true enough, but I mean, we've had a lot, even people with disabilities, especially, they're trying to make ends meet on their own and they can't work to provide for themselves. So they are stuck on government assistance. But the assistance is so little that they can only barely make it from day to day, even from paycheck to paycheck, from whatever assistance they do get from them. I mean, and even along with the housing, I mean, the environment is a big stressful thing for people right now as well. Because I mean, with all of the development, especially, it's taken a toll on just people trying to preserve a lot of things. And I've seen that firsthand to where they're trying to preserve as much as they can, especially for Florida, because I mean, even the parks, recreation areas, it's very fragile for Florida. And we try to keep everything, I mean, existent so we can actually look back on that, even our future, we can be able to bring them to see what Florida really is about. But I mean, it's just so much change trying to go on. I mean, we don't even know if that will exist years from now, decades from now. So we're just trying to either save what we can save and then try to at least have a positive change and help people to be able to live comfortably, at least to where they can actually enjoy living in Florida, because a lot of people want to move just because they can barely make it here now.
I almost feel that weight on my shoulder, like the humidity that we have there.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that's you know the feeling. Um, if you haven't spent time in Florida, one of the things that really stands out is in the summertime, the humidity is actually heavy. It actually feels heavy on your shoulders, much like what you just described. So
Yes.
unpacking that, right? We're talking about having to find the housing, trying to put food on the table, take care of your kids, simultaneously worrying about their education going forward, simultaneously trying to figure out how do you get yourself educated to move into a better job, simultaneously then having to worry about those bigger issues that maybe you don't even have resources meant, just time wise to think about getting into
Exactly.
yeah, getting into the environment. But in our state, you're right. Environment is paramount because we're surrounded by water on almost on three sides, and so our shores are very much threatened, and so it's
Yes.
very concerning. But at the same time, when someone has all of that to be worried about, how do you additionally worry about the environmental space as well? What are people, if you thought about the top three things that people are asking for, that they're saying, we really want to hear this from the politicians, and we really want to see this fixed in the area?
Top three things. So many numerous things, especially just depending on what areas we canvass. But when it comes to just support of the communities is what a lot of people are searching for. Not even that, just even having just the type of, how can I put it? Just the support mainly, but sorry, I have my baby in the background. um,
That's
just
how we
the,
live and do it. We just bring our
I
kids
know.
along. That's great. I love it. I love it.
But yeah, basically, I would definitely say the support of the communities whether it comes to economic, environmental support, it would definitely jobs and economics is really what is very touchy on a lot of subjects because a lot of people don't have that type of education to be able to maintain jobs that can help them get from point A to point Z. So, I mean, even with that, I mean, the traffic is a big issue as well because of just the construction that's going on the I-4 corridor. It's ridiculous. I mean, people are blowing tires and having car damage just
Oh yeah.
because it's just so much issues going on. And I mean, it takes about an hour and a half to get from one end of I-4 to get to the other just because of traffic. So it's just traffic, economics, and even support. That's really what a lot of people want to see a big change onto.
So a lot of pressure points are definitely existing, and I think this is pervasive around the country. I'm certainly seeing it in the communities that we're talking to, and some of the DEC leads that we've talked to. They are looking. I can tell you, they're looking to Orlando, particularly Orange and Seminole County. And for those who are in different states, those are the surrounding counties to Orlando. Because we are getting so much national attention. And so they're wondering, what is it that we can do to improve the way money flows, the way those economics work? And then I don't know if we can get around construction. that is something that just keeps continuing, but we do have to think about it in conjunction with the environment. I know I can answer a little bit from the federal level that one of the things that we are not doing a great job of, to connect to one of your points, is we don't think about how it is that we build in conjunction with what environmental concerns we have, in conjunction with what kind of educational supports we're putting in place, in conjunction with what kind of labor goals that we have. In other words, the federal departments are not coming together to make decisions. What we have is one group working on construction and saying our goal is to build up an area. You have one group saying we need to be doing environment, but of course those dollars are dwindling. You have one group focused on education, but not necessarily connected to what jobs are going to be available in the future. And it creates problems at the local level that we're now seeing start to break. And I think it's fair that everybody's starting to say, what do we do? I mean, one interesting thing about Orlando is, and I don't know if a lot of people, Orlando residents, know this, but we're actually a hub for innovation and federal. We have $12 billion a year that go into the I-4 corridor just from the Department of Defense. So there's this huge economic push to be doing testing and understanding of future capabilities. But
Yes.
the amount of education required to work in that space, extremely high.
Exactly. And
And
a lot of people just don't feel like they have that potential to do it. But it's just they need those resources that are out there to even have access to that, because anybody can do anything they put their minds to. But they need to be able to have those resources to reach out to so that way they can believe in themselves to do that.
absolutely. I mean, I think you just said it, you packaged it perfectly. We need people not only to have the access, but we need to recognize their value, capability, and support them to be able to go forth. We have a comment about all citizens want to see everyone have success. I have a phrase I often say, it's not just about being nice to people, it's about recognizing that when we all come together and at our individual bests, collectively, the entire nation benefits at the community level, at the state level, at the national level. So it just makes sense for us to connect and to work on those pieces together. So to that point, one of the things that you guys are doing at Door2Door I4 is specifically capitalizing on those connections. How is it that you are talking with candidates? Because if I take your message as a collective, what I hear is we have numerous issues that are at a breaking point that no one person can solve. And when we reach that point, what we need are the connecting agents and connection at multiple levels. So you all are connecting at the campaign level. How are you helping to bridge that so that we have multiple candidates with multiple skill sets?
So basically, for campaigns, we do, of course, report back to them on what we are finding. But not only that, since we want to be used as a resourceful tool for them to be able to help make this change, we do bridge the gap when it comes to certain organizations that can assist them with that. I mean, even the Voters Coalition, like we let them know exactly what people are looking for, so that way they can provide resources to certain campaigns that could be able to find out what information that they can have access to in order to achieve certain things, and even reaching out to constituents and residents in certain areas. I mean, if we can reach out to certain organizations to give them those tools to use for the campaign altogether, I mean, that will be resourceful. And even campaigns that are just say state campaigns, we can be able to connect them to local campaigns that are within their districts that they're representing. So that way they can be able to team up together and be able to help make that change. And people can see that that change is happening and be able to reach out to them, so that way they can reach out to them directly, even on top of that. So we like to just be a pool of resources for people to actually have
Yeah.
to the campaign and to other organizations that can be a benefit to everyone altogether.
So you're almost a one-stop connection shop.
Exactly, exactly. And we
So
work with numerous, I mean, even consultants like with Myers in Washington, we are, a subgroup of them, but at the same time, like with them having those political connections, they can refer to us and we can be able to give them what the people are saying and want to see change, as well as giving them uh, a different level of just change that they probably have never seen or never thought that they could see. Because I mean, change is happening every day, and I mean, change is unprecedented. So we want to keep that change and that whole level just high, so that way we can be able to set the stakes. Because I mean, Orlando is very important, but at the same time, I-4 corridor is important, and we want to be able to let we want the world to know that if we can do this for the I-4 corridor, it can happen anywhere. Because once we change and we get on that level of change that we want to get to as a country, then we will be unstoppable. Unstoppable.
I just couldn't agree more. I mean, progress is made when we come together, and particularly what I love about our hometown is that we have everybody represented.
Yes.
We're just such a diverse and eclectic bunch. And there's a quote from Lieutenant General Silveria. He is the superintendent for the Air Force Academy, and he said, "Diversity is a force multiplier." And I love it. I think it just really accentuates why it matters that we have different experiences and different cultures and different viewpoints and different backgrounds, because when we pull all that together, then that's when we actually can figure out the best pathway. And so the way that you all are being able to do that in politics, gives me a lot of hope for the Democratic Party and being able to find something new. I'll end with one last question, which does get at this innovation in politics idea, and something that I say oftentimes, which will be popular in one group and maybe not another. But I believe the Republicans said to us, "We will literally hire anyone than the typical that we've been seeing." Literally anyone. So I feel like it is upon us this time to step up with something different, with a new vision, a new way of looking at things, and really bring out the diversity and innovation that is so prominent, not just in our party, but across the country. So if you were to suggest one thing that you guys are adding to that new way of looking at things, like you said, to help ignite change, what would be your number one message there?
Versatility. That's one of my main
Ah,
things with Door to Door. I like for me to be a versatile person, I want Door to Door to be versatile. We don't have certain standards that we go by. We don't have a certain tradition that the other canvassing companies would go by. We even work with every budget. We just like we want to work to help make change. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Like it just depends on what you stand for, and if it's the right positive change, we are behind you 100%, and we don't mind going the extra mile just to make sure that the goal is achieved, especially when it comes to campaigns, because again, like I said, we're sick of seeing the same thing over and over again.
absolutely.
So we want to put our versatility to the test to make sure that change does happen, especially in 2020, because this is going to be a very critical election coming up, and we just
It
want to be
is.
able to have something happen finally rather than seeing the same thing over and over again.
Victoria, I just couldn't agree more. Thank you so much to you and to Door I4 and to Myers in Washington that you mentioned. This has been tremendous. We've learned a lot, and I think the word of the day then is versatility.
Yes, versatility.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. You too.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.